Hello, everyone. I'm Charlotte.
And I'm Dina. Welcome to the Grim Curriculum.
When we first started this podcast nearly 4 years ago, one of our biggest goals was to bring attention to lesser known cases in an attempt to raise awareness about them.
Don't get us wrong, we've certainly covered some stories that are better known, but we think it's important to also talk about people who need to be brought into the spotlight.
Our subject today was brought to our attention by none other than her very own daughter.
Today, we are covering the story of Wilma June Nissen. This is an unsolved case. The majority of our information has been provided to us by her daughter, Chrissy, through various articles and reports.
Chrissy was only a year old when her biological mother went missing. It would take nearly 30 years for her to learn what happened to her.
Wilma vanished in 1978. 47 years later, we still don't know the full story.
Chrissy was in foster care for the first 5 years of her life. She would go on to be adopted by the very same family that had fostered Wilma many years prior. They rarely spoke about Wilma. At first, they wouldn't even mention her by name. Chrissy grew up wondering where her mother was and dreaming about the life they could have had if they were ever reunited.
In an interview, Chrissy said,
I was always trying to find her. I would call random phone numbers of people that had a matching name. I always had this fantasy that I'd find her one day, and I didn't expect her to be my mom, but I thought I'd find her and had this whole delusional fantasy of like sitting on a front porch drinking coffee and talking to this mother I'd always dreamt about. I feel like, yeah, of course you would.
Yeah,
You'd build up this picture in your head and you would hope not to be disappointed, but I don't think you can help but have dreams,
of course.
you know?
And it was interesting to me. I spent a lot of time talking with Chrissy.
Mm-hmm.
And normally we do these cases, we do these stories that involve a lot of research. And no matter how much we learn and how much we know, there's always that disconnect of we don't know these people.
Yes, absolutely. That's why we often ask, if we're talking about a case that happened in a particular area, especially that we're not familiar with, maybe in
Mhm.
a different country or whatever. If you are ever from the area, if you can lend us some perspective or some insight, please do. We would love that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think talking with Chrissy too is she shared so much about her battle with this and her frustrations. And it just made me want to help her in any way that we can, as much as we can. And it really put, I don't want to say pressure on telling this story, but it
Mhm.
really made me want to make sure that we told it properly.
Absolutely.
All of this came to an end in 2006 when a friend's mother came over and asked if she knew the name of her biological mother. When she answered, Chrissy was told that she had died years ago.
A local paper had shared that a Jane Doe had been identified. Chrissy called local authorities and a DNA test was performed. Her worst fears then came true.
Like with any unsolved case, there are a lot of unanswered questions, but we're going to do our best to piece the story together.
We want to thank Chrissy for reaching out and trusting us to share her mom's story.
Wilma June Nissen was born on October 19th, 1954 in San Francisco to parents June Eva Simmons Nissen and Charles Clarence Nissen. She also had a sister named Mona, who was deaf and mute.
When the girls were young, their mother left the family. Her father then relocated them to Southern California. He was incredibly abusive and neglectful. When he went to work, Wilma and Mona would be locked in a closet with no access to food, water, or even a bathroom. From there, things only get worse. Oh my God.
Their father lost his job and the family was forced to live in their car. He continued his abuse by locking Mona in the trunk of the car while Wilma was forced to scrounge for food and money. She was only 8 years old at this time.
In 1964, a report was made to CPS and they removed the girls from the care of their father. When Wilma arrived at her first foster family's home, she was 10 years old. She could not read, write, or properly use eating utensils.
The initial foster family truly loved her and treated her, along with the other 2 children they were fostering, like they were their own. They provided her with an education, and she was able to celebrate her first real Christmas with them.
This part really breaks my heart because of that. But if she had been able to stay with them, it's very likely that Wilma would have gone on to live a very happy life. Unfortunately, that was not the case. Less than 2 years later, her foster mother developed severe rheumatoid arthritis. CPS decided that she could no longer care for her and removed Wilma from the first and only loving home she'd ever had. Brutal.
That's
To
devastating.
have it basically put right under your nose and then snatched away from
Yeah.
you like that, that is so incredibly tragic.
We talk a lot about how these decisions can alter the entire course of your life,
Mhm.
and if this hadn't happened, there's a really big chance we wouldn't be talking about her today. Over the next 8 years, Wilma was bounced from one foster home to another. By the time she was 18, she had lived throughout Southern California.
In 1973, Wilma aged out of the system and married a man named Donald Wellington. The marriage was far from a source of stability and love for her, and Donald had a criminal background and had been involved in drugs. Most disturbingly, he forced Wilma to engage in sex work.
She began going by the nicknames Amy and Boots. Chrissy mentioned to us that these were not just names that she used while working. She used the two nicknames as part of her day to day life, and it's possible that someone who knew her would have only known her by one of those two names.
During this time, she was known to hitchhike as a form of transportation. She also worked as an escort in various parties in the Sioux Falls and Lyon County areas of Iowa.
By the time she was 22, Wilma had given birth to two boys who were only 7 months apart. Both of them were taken away by CPS. Chrissy has never met them and is unsure if they are even still alive.
Her marriage to Donald did not last. In June of 1977, Wilma married a man named Robert Alexander Irvin. Soon after, Chrissy was born. Wilma walked out of the hospital, leaving her daughter behind.
She did this because she believed her daughter would be taken from her like the other children were.
This is essentially where the majority of the information we have about her while she was alive ends. Chrissy says that she knows Wilma spent some time at the Pike in Long Beach during the 70s.
Shortly after the birth of her daughter, Wilma lived in San Diego County. In February of 1978, she left with a man named Charles Inman Belt to Atlanta, Georgia, where they stayed with his mother. A few weeks later, she vanished.
Chrissy says that she believes with her entire existence that Wilma was convinced by someone to go with them to Sioux Falls in South Dakota. She did not have her own transportation, and this was nearly 1,000 miles away.
We know that during that time, she worked for an escort service called Playgirls and Playmates.
On October 4th, 1978, the body of an unidentified woman was discovered along Iowa Highway 182, which is located in the most northwest corner of the state.
She was described as being 5'5" and weighing around 100 pounds. She didn't have any identification with her and was pronounced as a Jane Doe. Locals would later give her the nickname Our Girl.
Oh, they sort of claimed her in
Yeah,
that way. Ugh. She was found face down and was wearing green khaki pants, white go go boots, and a gold ring. Her feet had been tied together, and her pants were wrapped around her left leg. She was nude from the waist up.
two of the things that Chrissy pointed out,
Hmm.
the boots were like immaculately clean. And
Oh.
she wore these boots a lot. That's why she had one of the nicknames Boots,
Oh,
was
okay.
because she loved go-go
Yeah,
boots.
yeah.
Another thing that she mentions is her feet were tied together, but
Mhm.
they determined that it wasn't to bind her, it
Oh.
was to move her body.
Oh, I see, to sort of keep everything together as someone was
Yep.
moving her around. I see.
When they turned her over, they found that her top teeth were almost completely broken and her lower jaw was missing. It has been confirmed that this was not done by wildlife.
That's horrible.
That's horrifying.
Oh my god. That's it hardly bears thinking about, honestly.
The investigators, when they found her, basically she was face down.
Right.
And they're like, okay, well, we need to identify her.
Mhm.
And when they saw how badly broken her face was, they were
Mhm.
like,
How
we
were we
don't know
going
who this
to?
is.
Oh, this poor woman. Identification was made even more difficult due to the decomposition of her body and face. She had been hidden in tall weeds and was not discovered for what is believed to be a couple of months. They were able to get two fingerprints from her, and this would prove to be useful in identifying her decades later.
It's likely that she was murdered in early August, right around the time Chrissy celebrated her first birthday.
The person who discovered her was 19-year-old Steve Husong. He was working in the area and initially believed that he had stumbled upon a mannequin. How many times does that happen in these cases? A lot, I feel.
Well, your brain doesn't go straight to that's a dead body. I feel like your brain a lot of the time tries to protect
I was
you,
just going to say exactly that.
and
Yeah.
the first place it's gonna go is, "That can't be what I think it is."
Well, the chances of it being a mannequin, I would say, hopefully, far surpass the
Yeah.
chances of it being, unfortunately, a dead human being. And
Mhm.
like you say, your brain would be like, "Oh, no, that's not what that is.
Yeah.
I believe it."
Ex-Sheriff Craig Vinson was one of the first on the scene and was the one who pronounced her to be a Jane Doe. Before he retired, he was incredibly helpful to Chrissy and provided her with a lot of information. She says that unfortunately, the detectives who have taken over the case have not been as cooperative.
Oh, that's unfortunate. The cause of death has never been released to Chrissy, but she was told that it was, and I quote, brutal. I think that's, yeah, of course it was. I mean,
Yeah.
look at this poor woman. Oh,
In 2006, Lyon County Sheriff Blumendahl made a second request for fingerprint analysis. This was not routine. It was made by him in an effort to not let her story fade.
after careful examination, it was shown that the fingerprints matched a 1973 arrest record of someone with the alias Boots.
At a press conference, Sheriff Blumendahl revealed that he received an anonymous letter soon after Wilma was identified. The letter claimed to have seen her 2 months before she was discovered.
There was no return address, and the person who sent the letter has never been identified. Oh man, that's so not helpful then.
The thing with cases like this, and we've seen this when we talk about like discoveries on extra
Mhm.
credit where cases that are decades old are solved, is sometimes it just takes one person to speak up.
Yes. Absolutely. And while yes, it maybe gives us a little bit more of a timeline into what happened,
Mhm.
ultimately I don't think that really helps solve who this person is.
Yeah.
it doesn't help really.
Well, it doesn't even confirm that the letter is real.
Well, that's true. It could be anybody.
Yeah.
It could be a classic Jack the Ripper sort of situation,
Mhm.
right? Is it, someone just, or a Yorkshire Ripper situation for that matter, where is it someone just messing around?
Yeah.
In which case, you awful, awful human
Yeah.
being. And if you really do have information, please come forward. Oh my goodness.
And I understand maybe this person was involved in a way that wasn't necessarily
Mm,
legal and they don't want to
mm-hmm.
speak up because they don't want to get in trouble.
Totally,
You
totally.
can put in an anonymous tip.
Absolutely. Give a little more information than
Yeah.
just that.
Investigators were aware that due to the amount of time that had passed, finding the killer would prove to be incredibly difficult. Unfortunately, they were right.
The reality of older cold cases is that persons of interest often pass away. Retired Lyon County Detective Jerry Berkey would later state that they would find the name of someone that they wanted to talk to, only to find out that they had literally passed away months prior.
That's so
Oh
frustrating.
my God, to have someone slip out of your fingers like
Yeah.
that, and the information they might have had.
And it seems like this happened multiple times
Oh,
too.
so frustrating.
In 2016, police released a photograph of a woman only named as Sugar, along with another known as Peaches. Both of these women are likely to have been connected to Wilma and were fellow dancers. They were also allegedly involved in various robberies of women that they worked with.
They sound pretty shady ladies, for sure.
Yes.
Peaches has never been identified. Sugar, on the other hand, was found and questioned. She denied any involvement with Wilma's death. Records show that she failed, however, multiple polygraph
And
tests.
we've talked about this many times. Polygraph tests are not a reliable method, but it's interesting.
It's always just, yes, you can't rely on it
Mhm.
100%. And sometimes they're straight up wrong,
Yeah,
but it is interesting. It's just food for thought.
especially for failing it multiple times.
Multiple times. Now, I would assume somebody conducting this test, right?
Mhm.
And the way polygraph tests work as well is that you start out as sort with like a basis, right?
Yeah.
What would you call that? Like a control, if you
Yes.
will.
What's your name? Where are you from?
Exactly. And then they'll start to ask you different questions and see how, your body reacts to that. Again, not 100% accurate,
Mhm.
but yeah, if you're failing multiple times, something strange is happening
Yeah.
somewhere. Law enforcement has DNA evidence from her, but according to Chrissy, they're refusing to speak to scientists to see if the DNA could be more viable. They're also not allowing it to be tested by a private lab. There could be a very good reason for this,
I know, I thought that too. I was
but
like, I don't like
but
this.
it's eluding me. I
Yep.
don't know what it is, you know?
Chrissy has contacted various agencies that are willing to fund this testing. It would all be done at no cost to the county or to taxpayers.
So why not? You know? Sadly, she has not been able to successfully raise all of the money that's needed.
One of the things that I talked to her about
Yes.
was, what do you need and what can we do?
Right.
So the really unfortunate thing is a lot of her social media platforms got deleted.
Oh no.
So she had a Reddit page,
Okay.
as well as a Facebook group. There was an Instagram as well, a few things. She does have an Instagram again, but a lot of her platforms were just gone.
Oh
And
no.
she's not really sure why that happened.
Hmm.
So I asked her, is this still something that you are trying to do? Are you still trying to raise
Yes.
this money? Um, I got some links from her
Okay, awesome.
for just some different platforms that she's trying to
Okay.
use. And we will be posting that in the description of this
Yeah,
episode. We'll be sharing
absolutely.
all of that. Just you never know who's going to see it.
Absolutely. And I mean, we're just a little guy podcast
Yeah.
in good old Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, but you never
Hmm.
know. Another suspect was John Van Gameren. He was arrested in 2009 at the age of 94 for perjury, no less. The charges were related to the transportation of sex workers in the area.
And it was around that time too, I will say. They caught him afterwards.
Perjury at 94, hey?
Well, that's what he got caught for at 94, but he was doing it a lot earlier.
Crazy.
He spoke with investigators about hosting parties, but would later recant his statement. He is not currently considered a suspect, and I'm going to assume he's dead.
I mean, at this
Yeah.
point, one could probably assume. At one point, serial killer Robert Ben Rhodes, also known as the truck stop killer, was investigated. He had been in the area during that time, and Wilma fits his victim demographic. He maintains that he started killing after her death would have happened and was eventually ruled out. Ooh, Robert Ben Rhodes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like you said, he definitely fits the bill, but obviously if he started afterwards, then perhaps not.
I have a very old, tiny paperback true crime book about him actually that I found in a thrift
I
store.
mean, he's a very interesting one, I'll
Mhm.
give you that. But also serial killers lie all the time, so
All the time.
who knows really?
As it stands, the only two viable suspects or people of interest are Sugar and Peaches. With Sugar refusing to share information and maintaining her innocence, it's difficult to get the truth without DNA testing. As for Peaches, no one seems to know who she is.
Well, maybe she's not alive anymore also,
Yeah,
right?
it's very possible.
Mhm. Wilma June Nissen was never reported as missing. In life, it seems that no one was there to look out for her. Chrissy says that she wishes she could have, but is determined to fight for her now.
With technology advancements, answers are possible. We've seen it happen time and time again. Chrissy states that law enforcement refuses to work with her, saying that they don't want to give her false hope. According to her, the Iowa Attorney General's cold case unit investigator told her that her case shouldn't even be on their list. He's like, we can't solve this.
What the hell? Like, how can you say that to somebody?
Yeah.
Even if that's really true, which I don't know, man. There's resources. Don't say that. That's horrible.
And the thing is, there's so many people that think oh, this happened a long time ago, we can't solve it. We literally talk about it
Yes.
every 2 or 3 extra credits.
Literally. And very not just little cases, but high profile ones too.
Yeah.
So it is possible. Like you said, all it takes is one little bit of information that gets dug up from somewhere, a piece of evidence or
Mhm.
DNA or whatever have you, someone's ancestry.com
Mhm.
results, or one person to speak up and be like, hey, I think I have something to say about this.
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
And the thing is, the DNA is there.
Oh,
It
that's
is
even worse.
there.
Yeah.
We have the DNA. We have the advancements that have happened
Yes.
since then. They're just refusing to put 2 and 2 together. And that's one of the reasons why when she approached us to cover her mother,
Mhm.
I wanted us to cover her immediately because, for starters, again, especially getting to talk with her
Mhm.
and have her express her frustrations with me
Yes.
of basically, why does no one want to help? This makes no sense. Which
Totally.
I'm going to speculate, and I probably shouldn't even say this. It immediately makes me wonder, was someone involved
Mhm.
that maybe we don't want to say who they are because it reminds me of Robert
I
Pickton,
was just going to say that too. Yep.
that they don't want to release this DNA because there's high profile people who were associated with him, and that's what this makes
Totally.
me wonder is there a reason for this? Because I can't make sense out of why they won't do it. Again, it's not going to cost the county money. It's not going to cost
No.
the average person money. There's grants that are in place that she can apply for
Mhm.
and probably get approved for if she has that permission from the county,
But they won't do it.
and they won't do it.
Yeah, that strikes me as very strange. If there's a good reason for it, you would hope that they would have come out with it already.
Yeah,
You
we
know,
can't because of this, but I can't fathom a reason that they would have.
unless we're literally talking lack of resources, but as you just said, the resources are there in this
Yes.
particular case. Hmm, I don't know. Makes me want to put my tinfoil hat on, but yeah, super
Oh, dude, me too.
suspicious.
Yeah,
Super
very.
suspicious. In March of this year, Chrissy was told that it would take at least a year for them to even review her case for consideration. It it starts to come across as, we're going to make this so difficult for you that you're going to want to give up.
Yeah.
I don't like it. Even if it's not as shady and tinfoil hat as I'm starting to think it is,
Mhm.
it's just straight up, have you no humanity? Why don't you care?
Yeah.
Don't you want to help? I never understand this about people.
No, and I mean, as an investigator, is that not your job?
Totally. Do you not want to solve this? I mean, if nothing else, for the fact that if you manage to solve a decades old cold case,
Yeah.
you're the one that gets to, put your name on that. If that's all, if you don't have any empathy in
Mhm.
you, come on. Someone has got to have some motivation other than poor Chrissy.
It
Like,
makes no sense. Despite all of this, Chrissy is holding out hope and has issued a call to action.
so you can contact the Lyon County Sheriff's Office directly at 712-472-8300. If you wish to remain anonymous and potentially receive a reward for your information, you can call Crime Stoppers at 800-222-TIPS. Chrissy has also provided another number, which is the Cold Case Coalition tip line at 385-258 3313. I'm going to put all those in the show notes and the description
Awesome.
as well, but I'm sure they're very easily Googleable if
Mhm.
this is something that you feel you need to reach out to.
One of the things that she really stressed to me when she first reached out was her goal right now, the
Mhm.
main goal is to get as many people talking about this case as possible.
Great.
So, if you don't have any information, but you wanna help, share the episode,
Yeah, absolutely.
and not for just, "Oh, share our podcast," kinda
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah, no.
It's sharing the episode is just gonna help more people find it,
Mhm.
and I firmly believe with cases like this is it just takes
Yeah.
one person to hear it and think, years this has happened so long ago. Oh, my cousin used to frequent that area, or I know someone who grew up
Mhm.
or there around that time. Anything like that. And you never know what could be that tiny little piece of information that unravels everything.
Absolutely. And I'll admit that before Chrissy reached out to us, I had not heard about her mom's case
Mhm.
at all, unfortunately. And so if this is also the first time you're hearing about it, yeah, spread the news. If you know anything that might be helpful, by all means, you can get in touch with those numbers that we mentioned.
Even something as simple as putting her name into Google.
Yes, absolutely.
Just something like that, that just helps bring more attention to it. And, like we said, we're gonna post those fundraising links in the notes as well.
Mhm.
We've talked to her about her, coming onto the show,
Yes.
hopefully very soon, so we will be chatting with her in person,
Mhm.
which I'm really looking forward
Me
to.
too.
And it's one of those things where, like I said at the beginning, don't usually have a connection like this to a case where we're
Mhm.
actually speaking with someone that's so heavily involved and
Yes.
affected, and it really I don't wanna sound cheesy, but I felt very honored to share this story.
I think if something good can come out of this, if we manage to get a little further in this case,
Mhm.
I will be very happy with that.
Anything.
Absolutely.
And I think if anything, just more people knowing her name.
Yes, as people should.
Yeah.
These victims deserve always to be honored. At the end of the day, we don't do this to glorify serial killers or anything like that
No.
because quite frankly, they're the worst kind of people that unfortunately walk this planet.
Mhm.
But we do it to one, try and wrap our heads around the craziness that can happen in a human brain, to put it simply.
Yeah.
But again, also, I think I'm very honored that Chrissy shared her mom's case with us and trusted us to talk about it.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah.
With that, like we said, please consider sharing the episode. You mentioned that not a lot of people would know who she is.
Mhm.
We posted an early episode reveal. I had one person who
Oh,
recognized the name, and I was
I'm honestly surprised.
yeah, and you know, in a way I was surprised. And I said, "Oh, good, someone recognizes her name." But then immediately after, I was like, "Only one person
Ugh.
recognizes her
Well,
name."
I hope a few more after this
Yep,
recognize her name.
absolutely.
We are in the outro, of course, of the episode where we always love to give a shout out to all the lovely folks that support us across all the various platforms, but a special thank you to the folks that support us over on Patreon.
You can check out the Patreon for free and get early episode reveals. The paid tier also gives you access to video versions of the episode, our Discord, all sorts of fun extra stuff that we post, but our Grim VIPs get a shout out at the end of each episode. Take it away.
Thank you all to the wonderful people in the list: Mayhem Mudkip, Lisa, Kevinus Musicus, Nova, Brian, Paranoid Pop Rocks, Bob, Stephen Centauri, Judy, Yegpla, and Atlantean Jedi.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you all, and thank you all so much for listening. This has been
The
the
Grim
Grim
Curriculum.
Curriculum. Did you know that the same Michelin from Michelin star restaurants
Mhm.
is the same Michelin as the tires?
That I did know, but it blows my mind.
Every time. I won't get into the history, but you guys should look it up if you're interested.
We should.
Mhm.
I want to, because I
Okay.
genuinely don't know.
Well, maybe on extra credit.
Get your tires, get your fancy meals.
Yeah, exactly.
Bye.
Bye.